welcome. You're on Division D's Calling the Audible. Mo is really excited to show us all something. I haven't even seen it yet. I don't know what that is, but it's not facing the camera. Oh, Mr. Franchise himself.
Look at that. Nice. He looks nice and clean, too.
Akeem Hoyt-Charles standing in front of a pool, ready to go to prom. It's prom time for Akeem Hoyt-Charles right now, it looks like.
Which year is that, Mo?
I think it's current.
Let's try to date Akeem on the show right now.
For those of you just tuning in right now or who have been with us since the beginning, since I haven't really talked about it, Calling the Audible, Keys is not here. I am replacing Keys. Alex Hollowak is replacing me. Quarterback, receiver, defender extraordinaire. First time on the show.
Yeah, just absolute pleasure to be here today replacing Peas. I'd like to say that it's a big miss for all of us here on the podcast show, but everybody would know that would be a lie. So I won't go there. But anyways, most exciting week of FPF, the week before the playoffs. I'm glad to be here, talk a little shop with the boys, and looking forward to it.
It's really set up for you to succeed right now and show us that we can replace Peas finally, is that you have all these playoff matchups and you can do well with it. So we're going to dive right into playoff matchups. First one, Backyard Bullies versus the Alpha Tees. The last time these two teams met, Backyard Bullies 30, Alpha Tees 27. Close game. Jean Lucier quarterback, 15 for 24, 4 TDs, 1 INT. Rich Humes, 15 for 26, 4 TDs, 1 rushing TD. So, aside from weeks 1 and 2, Alpha Tees' few losses have all been by less than a touchdown. It's been really close games. Bullies are going in stumbling. They had a tough loss to Tomahawk Nightmare after
An ugly loss
after winning 8 straight. My question to you, just to start this off, recap these two teams a little bit, but are the Alpha Tees the most dangerous team in Division D right now?
Well, I don't think we can ever say that an 8th seed is the most dangerous team in a division, even if they have been progressing every week and they've been a hot trend on the podcast for those following in, such as myself. Got a chance to catch them at the end of their game last week a little bit. They were very impressive, very athletic team. Quarterback throws a nice deep ball. They got some big, fast guys on the. He's athletic quarterback as well. Defense is tight.
Alex, if you're here, who's watching the podcast?
He is. He left his computer on at home.
Where's Brent Callender? He's not here. He must be somewhere.
We have 5 viewers watching.
Okay.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Jim's mom. Hi, Mo's mom. Alex, I didn't know your mom watching.
Bronx Bombers. See you guys later at the scrimmage. Yeah.
Organize team activities.
Can I come?
I think that would be a little conflict of interest considering our matchup. But yeah, so Backyard Bullies though, very impressive team. A lot of depth, a lot of experience. You got a very smart quarterback. Scrambles, throws the ball well. You've got my boy Brian Mongeau, one of the best two-way players when healthy, and I think this season he's showing that he's healthy enough. He's put up some big numbers. So this is going to be probably one of the most intriguing matchups in the division.
Wait, hold on here. Are you saying Brian Mongeau is injury prone?
Yes.
I think that's what you're saying here, Halawak.
I don't want to give away too many of the secrets.
I think you are.
Mongeau, but I think he's been known to hold his knee once or twice and come up short on the field. But
come up short on the field. Now you're taking shots at his height.
No. Me and Brian go back a bit, so he won't mind. But he's seriously had a fantastic season, 14 touchdowns, leading the team in catches. I mean, the guy's all over the field. So this is going to be a great matchup.
On the other side of the ball, with Rich Humes, his athleticism, what he brings both as a quarterback, passing and rushing, can Pierrick Derango keep him in the pocket? Their rusher, is he going to be relevant in this game against a player as strong as Humes?
I don't, there's not many rushers who could probably keep somebody as athletic as Rich Humes in the pocket when he decides he wants to bounce. So I don't think he's going to be extremely successful. I mean, Mr. Pierrick Desalo, he's had his best games against mobile quarterbacks. However, that tends to be the case with rushers anyways because they have more chance for sacks. Mm-hmm. I think Rich Humes is going to do his thing. I mean, they played a couple of weeks into the season and Rich Humes didn't get sacked. Backyard's Bullies won that one in a tight match. So I think it'd probably be replicated in terms of rusher quarterback dynamic.
If I can just say with Backyard Bullies, the one thing about them against Tomahawk Nightmare, the Nightmare got under their skin very quickly and often, and that cost them a lot of yards essentially and took them off their game. I'm not saying the Alpha Tees are going to do that, but if they're going to get something to their advantage, maybe try and play that mind game with the Backyard.
And is that definitely something they want to look forward
Absolutely.
To look through?
Absolutely.
We're going to go with our picks a little bit later on, but just to wrap this one up, does the fact that the Alpha Tees are unknown work to their benefit or hinder them at this stage of the game?
In this case, they're not actually unknown because they have played already this season, right? So in terms of other teams, perhaps, but the Backyard Bullies do know what the Alpha Tees are all about. They know what they like to bring. Typically, I'd like to say with new teams, especially one that's had some success like Alpha Tees in the league, you probably want to try to take away their number one option, their A game, and make them play the B game. Make them see what else they have in their bag of tricks. So I don't know if that's the game plan, more or less, but that's what I would do in this situation, is try to take away what they favor and see if they have that experience to go to something else.
Speaking of favoring, Pirates, Global Gym Purple Cobras. The last time this game was played out, we favored the Tyrants, and they came up big. Tyrants finished this one 34-19, the Global Gym Purple Cobras. Erica Marino, 19 for 36. 1 TD, 1 INT. Definitely not what you want from your pivot at that time. George Nectaris, 14 for 26. 5 TDs, 2 INTs. The defense of Global Gym Purple Cobras has been their rise right now. Danny Alward, Fodi Evangelista in this game, the last time they played, both with pick sixes, and Zoltapov as well, very, very strong. On the other side, Phil Dukovicic, 2 TDs, 4 sacks, huge. Who do you give the edge to there?
In terms of defense?
Yeah, what matchups do we look for?
What matchups do we look for? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, basically, I'm looking for the Tyrants to do on offense what they typically do is throw to their big three: Kaliotsakis, Andre Frederick, and the third receiver on their team as well. And it's going to be
Dukovicic.
Phil Dukovicic, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And it's going to be a question of can the Global Gym Purple Cobras, can they keep the offense steady, because they've been on fire since that game. Their quarterback has thrown 20 touchdowns to 0 INTs. So he's been on quite a roll. But however, it has been against, you can say, teams that were struggling a bit more. So can the Global Gym Purple Cobras offense keep up with the Tyrants in this case?
And let's just add to this. If you look at the Tyrants, let's say you're looking from the defensive perspective, you have Frederick lined up as the wide on the right side, you have Kaliotakis lined up as the slot on the right side, and you have Dukovicic lining up as center. So you can put all your defensive strengths on one side of the field and basically not worry about the left side because he just doesn't throw there.
But does it worry you guys that in the last 4 games the Tyrants are 1-3? They beat a very, very porous Blue Devil team and
struggle against everyone else. It's not the way you want to come into the playoffs. Do you have anything to add on that note? Like imagine
Tyrants started off the season on a very high note, right?
Defying expectations.
Defying expectations. And it was only a matter of time before they kind of, nobody's going to be perfect throughout the whole year. They had to hit the little bump in their schedule. And I think that's a testament to that, the last couple of matchups. However, they are still consistent. They haven't been blown out. They've been in most of the matchups that they've lost. So, I think that it's not too much of a concern in their case.
But they're predictable. That's the problem. All their strength is on one side of the field. So really, all you have to do is just cheat. You cheat, and they don't adjust for it, right?
And to carry that a little bit more, as George Nectaris. So imagine you're George Nectaris. You need to work on your Greek, by the way.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Who do you pick on the Global Gym Purple Cobra defense? Who is it that you find that matchup and exploit?
The Global Gym Purple Cobras defense has allowed the most points of all playoff teams in Conference A. So I think as a whole, there seems to be some kind of element there that's not quite working for them defensively. Individually, I would avoid Danny Aylward. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that.
That's our pronunciation of his last name.
He has 8 INTs for them, took them back to the house. Other than that, I think that you want to stick to your game. You don't want to change too much if you're Nick Taris. You want to stick to what you know. I don't know how deep their offensive playbook is. It's probably more of a timing, go with their comfortability type of playbook. So stick to what you know. Attack the defense however you would normally, and I think this will pay dividends for you. In this
Throughout
case.
the season, it looks like these two teams have basically gone in opposite directions. Tyrants played much better than expected and then started to fizzle out, and Global Gym Purple Cobras started out very, very weak, and they've won their last 3 games, 2 of which they scored 46 points. That's huge for a team that struggled on offense, who the last time these two teams met, he only threw a single passing touchdown. Mm-hmm. What kind of contrast is that?
You'll have to let me know of one thing about the quarterback for Global Gym, because I haven't actually seen them play.
Eric Marino, yeah.
Did he go to the Joey Taylor School of Quarterbacking?
Very much so. This is definitely the farm team for 2.5 Dans.
A lot of guys do cross-pollinate.
Yeah, and they do cross-pollinate. That being said, we're going to move on. We'll go to our picks a bit later on. Hot Boys Hotline, Crimson Tide. Previous meeting, Hot Boys Hotline 14, Crimson Tide 8. Tom Gatehouse 7. Shut up, Eagle. Tom Gatehouse, 17 for 30, 2 TDs, 3 INTs. Ron Taylor, not the starting quarterback for Crimson Tide, 7 for 25, 1 TD, 4 INTs. So the obvious Chris Pansino missing. This is also the only game where Hot Boys Hotline have only scored two touchdowns. In every other game since, they've had a harder hitting offense. So even against a team without a quarterback, they were still held by the Crimson Tide to only 2 touchdowns. Do you see this game having similar results, just trading in Ron Taylor for Chris Pansino? Is a testament to the Hot Boys Hotline defense.
Having just recently played both these teams in the last 2 weeks and having lost to both these teams, I can comfortably say that there are two contrasting styles at play right now. That's why this matchup's so interesting. On one hand, you have the organization, the structure of the Hot Boys Hotline. These guys all come to the huddle with wristbands, receiver to quarterback. The play calling is on point. The ball goes to where it needs to go. And on the other hand, you have kind of a chaotic nature in the Crimson Tide. They run a triangle formation sometimes with 3 quarterbacks at the same time. It seems like you don't even know what's going on, but it works out for them. So I think this is really interesting dynamic that's going to play out. I think Chris Pansino being there is going to be a huge bonus for Crimson Tide because
so then,
he's a very great...
With Chris Pansino being there, who do you give the edge to at the quarterback position?
Oh, okay. Well, this is in a very tight matchup at QB. I would have to give them the edge in this case. Just having played him to Tom Gatehouse, his structure, his organization, his chemistry with his receivers is very impressive.
So on one end, you have a more prototypical quarterback in Tom Gatehouse with receivers who he relies on and really have to get the ball in their hands and make those catches, who are a little bit less disciplined as receivers, whereas you have a little bit less disciplined quarterback in Chris Pansino, but solid experience and discipline in the receivers, Doug McKernan, Brent Callender, Sammy Bagg, Marcus Roberts, just spread across the board.
You can definitely say that Crimson Tide is a bit more top-heavy than the Hot Boys Hotline, but Hot Boys Hotline do have more depth and more balanced out. So we'll see how that weighs on the scale.
So just to wrap this up before we move on to the next matchup, what standout players do you see having an impact here?
Okay, very quickly, I'd say definitely a big matchup will be the snapper extraordinaire for Hot Boys Hotline, Vadim Cherniak, versus Brent the Hitman Callender, who...
Please don't call him that.
How have we never done that?
He calls a very good defense. He plays middle linebacker. He shut me down pretty good when we played him. It's going to be a very interesting matchup. And apart from that, you're going to have Sugar Sammy Begg running on the outside, excellent wide receiver, and you're going to have Doug McKernan snapping. So there's some good matchups there. How are Hot Boys Hotline going to account for all these talented players on offense?
You realize that you become his BFF now.
Who's that?
Brent Callender.
Brent Callender? Oh, I was always his BFF. You just didn't realize it.
5-star prospects, Diablos. Previous meeting, 5-star prospects took this one 25-13. Francois Martin, 8 for 23, 2 TDs, 3 INTs, not a great outing for him. Jordan Moses, 11 for 22, 4 TDs, still throwing 3 INTs. Diablos, however, generated the most interceptions that Jordan Moses has thrown in a single game with 3. Admittedly, with a kind of patchwork team, George Elivoyer absent, Eric Deschambeau, tackle player in his place, very solid. Not just that. With the loss of Louis Bégin, so for those of you who don't know, Louis Bégin will not be playing for Diablos. He is out of the country, out of the continent. He's in France. How important is Gab Wiseman in this game?
Gab Wiseman will be huge in this game. He didn't have many stats in the season. His presence is felt on offense. Let me tell you, he lines up on the opposite side of the great receiver for Diablos, Elie Voyer.
Oh, George Voyer.
He lines up opposite of George,
and has snapped as well. He's the backup snapper.
Splits the field open. So this is going to be huge in this game. Louis Bégin and Gabriel Wiseman, two similar type of players, very stringy, very fast, can get up there. So he can step into that role and assume more catches in this one.
Which team is more battle tested? Like, you see that it's a little bit more green at the quarterback helm for Jordan Moses, but they have that experience, whereas Diablos played a full season in Div 6 together, but don't have much outside of that.
Both these teams are very battle tested this season. I mean, to go 9-1 was one thing for 5-star, but they battled in most of those games. They won by a touchdown or 2. Some close matchups, so they're ready. At the same time, Diablos have been basically playing for their lives for the second half of the season. So I mean, how much more battle tested than that can you get? So,
one side note to look at here, guys. Last 7 games for Tyrant, for 5-star prospects, 6 of those games they've held their opponents to 19 points or less. That's a very good stat to have going to the playoffs, though.
We talk about experience. Jordan Moses is no stranger to FPF. However, I think it's very underrated that this is going to be his first playoff game as quarterback. How much do you think that's going to weigh in on his mind? having been in that situation previously?
Well, actually, Jordan Moses has played one game before at QB. That's spring season 2013 for No Regard in the absence of Justin Smoller. So he stepped in, he played against Darkside, had a so-so game, but that was actually his first game at QB. I think he's going to be fine.
That's right. We played them as formerly teamless in that season.
Yeah. So I think that I think he's not going to be shook. I mean, he's a level-headed guy. He's a competitor. So he'll be all right in this game for sure. It's going to be another day at the office for him.
Just keep in mind, in that last game, right, he was acting as a backup, as a replacement. This has been his team all year. So who knows? Maybe if he struggles early, the people are going to start chirping in his ear and try and get them the ball to try and get the advantage back, and maybe he can't deal with that pressure.
I think that Five Star, having scrimmaged them twice this season and actually going to see them later tonight for our scrimmage, they have a support system in place where you cannot come.
Can I come?
We're going to be You can come if you'd like.
Excellent.
How are you scrimmaging against a team in your conference that you are possibly poised to play mathematically in the second round?
What difference does it make? You know, like it's a toss-up.
Yeah, okay, that's awesome. So I can come then too. What difference does it make?
We're playing you this week, and you're far more analytic, I guess, than anybody on the 5. So you're going to come break us down.
Can I come?
You can come if you like as well. Yeah.
I'm going to bring a camera.
Pardon?
I'm going to bring a camera.
You're going to bring a camera. Okay. Well, we're going to ask you to rush, but if you'd like to.
Speaking of rushing through these games right now, because we're going to run out of time. Gotham Knights versus Tomahawk Nightmare. The last time these two teams played each other, Tomahawk Nightmare took it 34-18 over the Knights. JF Marquis 11 for 22, 3 TDs, 3 INTs. Chris Rive 12 for 30, 3 TDs, 4 INTs. Rive in this game, I think, was the most flustered we've ever seen him. He threw 4 interceptions, each to a different defender. How do you like that going into this game when on the other side of the ball, JF Marquis is coming in rusty, hasn't played in over 3 weeks?
He actually played this past week against Backyard Boys, so he did get one game under his belt.
And they scored 40 points, and he threw 6 touchdowns. Yeah. So Rust shaking off, you can say.
His first pass was the INT, but he picked it up afterwards.
I think that definitely the Tomahawk Nightmares roster is very athletic, very big. One of those athletic teams, you know. And I don't know if that bodes well for the Gotham Knights style, simply because they play more of a cerebral game. Chris Rive, a lot of short passes, picks apart the defense, little head fakes, little look-offs, and a very smart kind of offense. But Tomahawk Nightmare, you know, if you're going to match them up physically one-on-one, they have the advantage in that. So I think the Tomahawk Nightmare could shake the Gotham Knights offense again, like they did in the first matchup. However, I wouldn't put it past Gotham Knights to have a little trick up their sleeve.
With the trick up their sleeve, we've talked about their defense on this podcast. Considering the athletes we have in Division D, considering how close it is the Gotham Knights defense par for the course, so good enough for Division D, or are they exceptional? Are they very, very strong?
Statistically, they've given up the second least points allowed in all of Div D. So I would say in that case, considering also their players, very experienced, very athletic, they are an exceptional defense, and they do some very smart things on defense as well. Having seen a couple of their games, so definitely exceptional. Not par for the course, something above.
Okay, how do they adjust to someone like Mathieu Cochon for Tomahawk Nightmare? 33 receptions, over 500 yards, 18 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 1 for 6, 5 pass defended. Essentially just everywhere on the field.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You have to be aware that he's there. You can't avoid him altogether. You don't have the quarterback with the arm strength to just throw bombs on the other side of the field. You still have to run your game plan. Just a slight awareness that he is a very good player and he can do some damage if you challenge him, if you go to the well once too often.
Mm-hmm. The best transition I have for the night thus far, because you mentioned the second best defense in Division D, the best defense in Division D right now statistically, formerly teamless, going up against a team you know intimately well, Bronx Bombers. Last time these two teams met each other, Bronx Bombers took it. The only loss that FFFT have had this season, 28-18. John Brown, 13 for 32, 3 TDs, 1 INT. James Nowakowski, 13 for 22, 3 TDs, 2 INTs. Mm-hmm. Eagle has something to say.
Before we actually analyze this game, I just want to laugh at the fact that I have a bar at the top to indicate the name of the topic. I wrote formerly teamless dash Bronx Bombers. Bronx Bombers didn't show up, so I now have formerly times 3, and I giggled.
Well, that goes
Stop
to show
making teams next year.
Eagle has to say about that one. Important to note, Kwesi Gordon Mall, Khalil Kerr, both relaxing in the Dominican Republic, far from their team when they needed them.
They look very relaxed.
Why would you tell him this? He's
the last time they played each other.
Oh, the last time.
Hugo Roberge with a big pick 6 on the last play of the game to ice it, put it out of contention. This is one out of only 2 times FFFT allowed 20 plus points. So playing against your team was one of the few times they allowed 20 or more points. Is it the ability to slow down the game? Is it John Brown's offense that really brings the game to a crawl, or is it the FFFT defense?
You got to give kudos to the FFFT defense. I mean, I think John Brown just does his thing. I don't think his offense scores points. It's sometimes they score quickly, sometimes they take a little more time. So you got to give credit where it's due. The FFFT defense is a great one, led by an excellent defensive captain in Steve Hodhod. And so impressive.
So I guess this one's a little bit for Mo at the same time, because Alex already knows what he's going to do. But as the Bronx Bombers, Mo, do you try and speed up the pace of the game to get FFFT out of their comfort zone, or do the Bronx Bombers continue to do what led them to the success the first time
Well,
around?
I think for the Bronx Bombs, I watched you guys earlier this season in Brossard. I thought this is the team that's still growing in their positions with Nowakowski throwing and whatnot here. I think what it comes down to is that, look, this could be a very low-scoring game. I think both Ds are very smart. Not maybe the most athletic out there, but very smart out there. And I think the one who makes the first mistake and can convert those for points can have the hammer in controlling the tempo of this football game, especially in the second half, because, again, both Ds are smart, and they can definitely win that battle if it comes down to that.
I just want to make this interesting. So you are playing each other. Obviously, it's going to be a fun week, and no one wants to give up any secrets. So I want to know, what's the one thing you're worried about in your matchup?
Okay, well, speaking honestly, I mean, we're not going to hide anything. The one thing we're worried about is the unknown factor for us, Kwasi Gordon Mall and Khalil Kerr, who are both absent and who both actually are the 2 best receivers for FFFT. So having played against them, having won, having felt their offense and the power it contains, now you add 2 more elements to it. It's the unknown for us. So that would be the biggest concern.
Right now, there's 2 in the back of my mind. Size. So the physical matchups that Bronx Bombers bring to the table are very, very strong. It's harder to create separation against those defenders, even with the skill set that FFFT have. And discipline. FFFT have great athletes who often will deviate from their routes, who will find themselves in spots that they don't need to be, whereas there's a little bit more discipline on the side of the Bronx Bombers. So, and that took my next question out of it. So thank you, Eagle, for that. Moving on, D's Nuts, Les Affreux. Previous meeting, Les Affreux with the upset over D's Nuts, 39-37. Joe Lemieux, 11 for 21, 2 TDs, 2 INTs, a mediocre game. Simon Duchesne, 21 for 30, 6 TDs, 0 INTs.
I think we're a bit confused here.
I definitely clicked on the wrong game there.
We'll just substitute, I guess, Dave Daous.
Yeah, Dave Daous. They came up, these Nuts coming off a huge win, week 10. I'm just going to ignore that. These Nuts came up of a huge win in the game of the week against the Warhawks. Definite confidence booster for them. Will Dan Belfray be able to keep Dave Daou in the pocket?
Dan Belfay is one of those exceptional rushers where he makes a big difference in the game. I think he can limit some of what Dave Daou likes to do in his scrambling. Dave Daou is a great passer as well, so I'm sure even if that were taken away, he'll find a way to get the ball to his best receivers.
I'm not counting the questions here because I did a bit of wrong prep. Right now, what have we learned about D's Nuts, considering they have the Div C experience, and how is this a trap game for them against Les Affreux?
I don't think this is a trap game simply because Les Affreux have shown a big let-off in the second half of the season. I believe they lost maybe 3 of their last 4 games or something like this.
So how do they right the ship in this case?
Just go back to what, it's a team that's been together for a while now, so go back to what's worked for you. Don't try anything fancy. Don't try anything new in the playoffs. Be confident. I know it's difficult having lost a couple of games in a row, but come in like this is a brand new season and just you have nothing to lose.
It's interesting with my prep. I had Jaegerbaum on the mind, so we'll move right on to them right now. Warhawks versus Jaegerbaum. No previous meeting, so we have no stats to go on here. But are the Warhawks overhyped, or was it just a matter of time?
I don't think the Warhawks are overhyped. Having just watched the game of the week against these Nuts, which was a very entertaining game for anybody who likes FPF, this was a slugfest.
I show up in the video actually in the opening coin toss.
Go watch These Nuts.
I don't think the Warhawks are overhyped at all. I think they going 8-0 is going to create a lot of expectations, and they are learning a growing team throughout the year. So I don't think they're overrated. I think they're a very strong team, and I think this is actually going to be the best matchup in round one: Warhawks versus Jägerbomb.
Is it going to be important to keep Simon Duchesne in the pocket in this game?
Simon Duchesne can give it to you however you like. You can keep him in the send back the D's nuts pun, and he can scramble
give
for
it
yards.
To D's nuts.
He can, and he has a very good arm, so he can throw as well, standing in the pocket. So I don't think it matters if you keep him in the pocket or move it. He'll find a way to distribute the ball.
We saw that in the game of the week, Warhawks were without Anthony Lapointe, who has been by and far the standout player for them on both sides of the ball. Mm-hmm. How important is he going to be in this game for them?
It's going to be huge. I mean, most receptions on offense, move the chains for his Warhawks team, tied for the lead in interceptions on defense. So huge two-way player. If you're missing that kind of talent, it's going to be a hole that somebody else has to fill. So this is going to be a major factor. It might be the tipping point actually with Anthony Lapointe there.
Are Jägerbomb poised to play spoilers here? Like, what have we learned? What have we learned about Jägerbomb since their loss in the finals?
I was so impressed with Jägerbomb in their finals appearance. Even though they lost, I thought they were the better team over the U, and I think this is a really bright up and coming team. And I don't think there's much to learn from them. Just keep watching them do their thing, and it's just going to be a very interesting matchup.
So we're going to go into our picks. Just before that, I'm really, really excited. We get to announce the award winners.
The winners.
All right, it's now time to bring up the 4 award winners. So we want to congratulate the nominees, which we don't know where they were, but it is now time to bring up the quarterback of the year. And guys, before we get to the quarterback of the year, this was probably one of the tightest races that I've seen at this position here, and I got the privilege to watch this man play this week. It is now time to bring up the quarterback of the year. The winner is Fred Millett.
I'm surprised. Stats, Mo?
Stats I don't have in front of me.
It's no problem. I can bring it up.
1,939 yards, 56 TDs, 8 INTs, 68.5% completion rate, 117 quarterback rating. Thank you, Mo.
So I just have a question though. How was it a close race? If I think John Brown was second with 47 touchdowns.
John Brown is a Division C quarterback.
Oh, he's Division C. So then you have Dave Daou with 47 touchdowns, I believe as well.
Si, senor.
He's a
C quarterback, right?
C quarterback.
So then, I mean, he took it.
I tried to create the prestige of the award. That's what I was trying to do here, Alak.
Fred Millett, excellent season, man. Excellent.
All right, receiver of the year is none other than Geno Malkin's brother, Joel Malkin.
I don't get that reference.
Well, Joel Malkin had 6 catches for 140 yards and 4 TDs in the win over the Warhawks, which sealed the deal for him. In fact, Dave Daou asked me afterwards, what was his totals? And I think that sealed the deal for him, in my opinion.
49 receptions, 775 yards, and 23 touchdowns.
Incredible season. Big players come up in big games, and he showed that on the game of the week.
Without a doubt. The defensive player of the year for 2015 spring season, and this is a guy we all know very well in this league, is none other from the Tyrants, Phil Djokovic. Woo!
23 sacks and 2 passes defended. Very good rush.
And finally, the two-way player of the year for the 2015 spring season, which went from May till end of July as we gear up for the playoffs here. And a guy who is well-deserved of this award is none other than Jesse Dupuis. Woo! Yeah! Okay, nice. Keep yourselves.
With those, congratulations to those 4. You will be getting your photo taken. You'll be on the site. You get a trophy as well.
Enjoy your trophy.
Lots of prestige. But what everyone wants to know right now, Backyard Bullies, Alpha T's, Alex, Mo, what are your picks?
Bullies.
Tyrants, Global Gym, Purple Cobras.
Tyrants, man.
Tyrants.
Hot Boys Hotline, Crimson Tide.
Oh, I can't wait to see Brent Calendar lose Hot Boys Hotline.
Crimson Tide.
Brent, you're washed.
5-star prospects, Diablos.
5-star.
5-star as well.
Yeah.
So far we have all the top seeds winning it thus far, except for the one conflict with the Crimson Tide Hot Boys Hotline. Gotham Knights, Tomahawk Nightmare.
Tomahawk.
I have, I respect the Gotham Knights a lot. I'm going to say Tomahawk Nightmare as well, simply because their first matchup was overwhelming.
Mo and Eagle, formerly teamless, Bronx Bombers.
Well, given that how I made the formerly teamless with the quarterback acquisition, I continue with my team, formerly teamless.
As much as I think Bronx Bombers are good, I think this matchup's kind of bad because of the speed that has. So I'm gonna go with.
That could just be like a Louis C.K. reference. Like,
You can name your kid 40F. Just.
ladies and gentlemen, please. Okay, that in mind, D's nuts against Les After.
These nuts.
These nuts.
And the last game, Warhawks, Jaegerbomb. No one wants to be the first to speak here.
Warhawks.
I'm gonna go with Jaegerbomb on this one.
I like this. So it's definitely going to be action-packed and fun-filled. Eagle has something to say, but just before he does get to that, Alex, I really want to thank you for coming out. It's much better having someone who knows what they're talking about on the podcast.
Well, it's not so much Pease doesn't know what he's talking about. It's just that he's drunk all the time.
Well, speaking of Peas, he actually tweeted into the show saying, at EgoFPF at MoCon19, greetings from at Days Republic and I. Best of luck in the playoffs from sunny Hawaii. Stay tuned for a special message, #FPF.
Oh.
Remember, you can tweet the show live by tweeting at EgoFPF at MoCon19.
Well, the show's over now.
Well, next week, or during the week.
So
now.
that's basically it for us here at Calling the Audible. Tune in next week. We're going to have the quarterfinals broken down for you. But until then, this is how I end the show.
Much better than Peasy.